Oi, what's up? It's Demented, and today I have another kind of weird video that I don't really know what to really label it, but I wanted to make, I guess, kind of a second video to the video I made a while ago called, I believe, How to Have Fun in Overwatch in 2021, which was not really flawed, but it was a little like, here's a way around ranked, but ultimately you still have to play ranked, and it was very like unhelpful for a lot of people that I can assume. But in my eyes, I still think that there are ways that you can get through the I guess the fucking minefield that is ranked at this point, because to be honest, the state of it is just fucking absurd. And to all the people that still, I guess, try to grind it, I mean, if that's your shit, that's your shit, but that's not for everyone. And I wanted to provide a video kind of telling people about this alternative way that my friend Rokit actually was able to I guess kind of maneuver through and kind of find his own footing in his own way through grinding tryhard FFA, which is a pretty much just constant playing of Shadow Yard on the fucking custom games like launcher thing, which is nutty to think that people can like actually make so much out of something that's so little as just FFA. But this is a lot more than it initially lets on, because if you think of like grinding FFA, you're thinking of, you know, a couple hours a day, you just like whip out some I don't know, some random shit on fucking FFA and just try to I guess try to win. But it can go a lot deeper than that in terms of how that translates over to team play, how that translates to your skills as an individual, and where that puts you mechanically. And I really want to bring that to light because I think that's something that really needs to be shown to people. And Rokit agrees with me that it's really unhealthy to say that the only way that you can like make your way up the ladder in the slightest is through grinding ranked, which to an extent you do have to get somewhere in ranked, but that's not the only thing you can do. So in front of me right now, I have a bunch of notes from a kind of DM oriented interview that I did with Rokit a couple days ago that I wanted to ask him just a couple things about his I guess struggle or grind with free-for-all and tryhard FFA in general. And I guess for simpler terms, I'll just say FFA in the future, but I will kind of bring to light some of the points he brought up as well as bring up my questions. And then I'll kind of wrap this all up at the end, just giving my overall thoughts about grinding FFA and where that, I guess, leaves the leaves it opportunistically, and where you can actually go from trying in FFA as opposed to playing ranked constantly if you don't enjoy it. Alright, so out of my 7 questions, I can start with my first one, that is when did you stop playing ranked and to focus more on tryhard FFA and grinding? And his response to this was, I started to focus more on tryhard FFA before I even joined any team. And to preface this before I continue reading this, Rokit just recently made trials, which is a really big step, especially because he used to be a teammate of mine, so I'm extremely proud of him. But holy fuck, sort your fucking backline out. I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. But getting back into the whole actual, you know, preface of the video, he brought up that I didn't like that I didn't have any carry potential as a player and wanted to find a character that I could grind and kind of start carrying with. The main reason I started playing FFA more than ranked is because I still had and do have the mindset where I think that if someone were to only practice dueling as opposed to like overall just ranked play, they'd be the best mechanical player in the game. Now this is very special because it's a big thing to say, like, to jump to being the most mechanically gifted player like ever. But if you remember all the way back to my past OD kind of I'm trying to figure out who's gonna make trials thing, my prediction, I don't know why that slipped my mind entirely, but my very last prediction video on Open Division, or on the last Open Division who was getting the trials, I brought up something that's very particular, and something that even before I asked Rokit about any of this, I brought up in that video, and you can go back and watch it, that I brought up if Rokit feels the need to like minimize the other Hitscan's team play and focuses specifically on 1v1ing and isolating people, then like certain games would be very easy for them to win, which I still believe to this day. And I think that's a super interesting way of like thinking about it, because that's something that I like personally, it makes sense to me that if you're thinking fuck all of this like ranked RNG bullshit, if I sit down and focus in ranked, or in not ranked, in FFA, then I'm able to focus on dueling, getting my mechanics where they need to be. And then if I go into ranked, and not to mention this will translate very well to ranked in my eyes, because if you translate something like this to ranked, then you're taking what was before just a overall hodgepodge mesh of not everyone playing together and no one really like synergizing all that well, unless you have like a duo, or like if you're in lower ranks, more of like 5 stacks, 4 stacks, whatever you may have. But instead you'll kind of have your own way of isolating people, forcing 1v1s, winning the majority of those 1v1s, and in result finding a lot more success. The second point that I brought up is if this would in any way, shape, or form, or if this would more or less help or hurt his team play, just in general, or his play overall. And his response to this was, I think FFA has helped me way more than it's hurt my gameplay. I still VOD review and scrim every day, so I'm able to keep up my game sense and game knowledge, but FFA has given me the advantage in competing because of how many times I've practiced duels. When you queue ranked, you can't always guarantee that you'll get a Tracer 1v1 every game, or a Tracer versus Cream matchup, whereas in FFA, you can sit and practice those individual duels over and over. And this is a amazing point that I think in an FFA lobby, you're realistically like, the only, I think, duels you can't practice, if we're using the example of a brig or of a tracer, is you can't bring up a duel like a brig. But outside of that, because right now in the games that were being streamed, if you watched it, there weren't that many there wasn't too much brig being played. It was mostly brawl, and then you can now kind of see where like whenever that brig isn't there, that's an entire like gateway that's being opened for you, as opposed to I guess just in general making all the matchups easier and more focused, especially because you're like DPS players bring up a lot of the time having to wait in like 10 minute queues, and like recently, obviously, or I guess not really recently, but they brought it in the practice range and the ability to go into a like custom game lobby, because you want to be able to keep yourself warmed up while you're waiting in those long queues. But with Tryhard FFA, there's almost always an FFA lobby opened up, and if you open up one yourself, it's not gonna be that long until other people join it and get it like completely filled up. So with that being said, you're not really having that much downtime, and you're like, instead of your like 5-hour session of ranked being realistically cut down to like 20-ish games or something, or maybe like 15-ish games, you're instead fully utilizing all of that time instead of waiting in queue. And as I brought up time-wise earlier, I wanted to get I guess a feel, because obviously Rokit has been doing this for a really long time, so I wanted to bring up how long the typical day would be in terms of how long he would spend playing FFA. And his response was, how long I grind FFA depends on whether or not I'm prepping for a tournament. On the average day where OD is months away, I like to play at least 2 hours of FFA every day. 1 hour before scrims and 1 hour after scrims. During times I'm prepping for a tournament, I'll start to take my practice more seriously, and because right now he just got done working his way into trials, and I think the day this video comes out will be the last day, so hopefully you watch the finals. But currently he plays 4 to 5 hours every day, which might seem like a lot, but at the root of all of this, you also have to remember, this is someone who earlier in my I guess responses that I read out, he said that he wanted to be the best mechanical player in the game, which if you're wanting to make a statement such as that, you have to put in that kind of time, and that's where that 4 to 5 hours comes in. That doesn't necessarily mean to a casual player or to even someone who's just trying to find an alternative to play ranked and still scrim at a decently high level. You don't have to put 4 to 5 hours in, you just need to put in enough time. The next question I asked was, what part of FFA do you think is translated to your performance in scrims, and do you think it's a lot more beneficial than ranked? This is kind of a two-part question, but long answer, let's get it sorted out. So he said, I think my tracer duels have translated beautifully in the scrims. There are very few players who have played in the tracer 1v1 matchup more than me, and I like to take that duel IQ into every single game. I think if someone wanted to practice tracer duels or Kree duels, then FFA would be probably more efficient than ranked. Because there's less to focus on, and you can really judge the focus in on the tiny details of your play when you're in an FFA lobby with no stakes. Sorry for stuttering, but it is just so prevalent how much thought has really gone into this, and that's why, like, I knew how passionate he would be about this, which is why I felt the need to ask him, and that I thought it would be a really cool video to make, because a lot of people would not think to go this route. And as I'll bring up later, this isn't a like you can only do this by any means, but this is definitely a healthy alternative if you just want to grow as a player. And like, I mean, like you said, there's no stakes in terms of, like, you'll see people like playing a ranked game, and like maybe they're like 1 in 20. They're having a horrible fucking day on like a stream or something, or maybe someone's just like picking a character no one likes or some shit, and then people dip out of the game, and it's like the most heart-wrenching thing, because then the entire game gets stopped. But in an FFA lobby, there's people constantly getting into other games, you're constantly getting new opponents, and in general, I just think it's overall really fucking cool in terms of and I mean, that's why people smurf, and you can kind of tell that I'm going off the rip of this, but like it's really incredible how much different you can play when there's no stakes involved. And that's where people love scrimming. People love scrimming because it's a competitive environment without stakes. You don't have to lose SR, you don't have to lose anything, you just gotta focus in and you gotta win the maps, and that's it. That's all you're playing for, and that's what I think is the biggest takeaway. But to I guess avoid myself from going too far over, I will continue moving on. Now, I really apologize for the phrasing of the next stuff, but I want to keep it like as close as a one-to-one in terms of the actual interview as I possibly can. So I asked if do you think because of FFA you're unironically, and I put in air quotes, built different? I'm so fucking sorry for saying that, but anyways, if you're more unironically built different and more capable of winning duels. And his response was, I think I'm absolutely more capable of winning duels than the average player. because it's the most of what I focus on. I approach Tracer in a way that I want to showcase how much I've practiced duels, and I know for a fact that people that queue ranked and try to practice Tracer duels will have less efficient improvement rate than someone who has played it over and over in FFA. And that's the biggest like point that I can make of this, is like, if you're just thinking like, and this is, I guess, hammering the same nail, but I really want you to like understand how much time you're really spending in queue for ranked, as opposed to like, and in most cases you're spending so much time queuing for something that you don't even want to really like, you just don't want to play it. Like, a lot of people just really have not very fun times playing the like the queues, but holy shit, people will still sit in it for fucking hours on end to get that number up and to hopefully get some fucking recognition for it. And it's really unfortunate to see so many like really good talents just hate playing ladder but having to force themselves to play it, and it really kind of kills me. But anyways, the next question is, does FFA over ranked allow you to VOD review or give you more space to think as opposed to ranked? Which, holy fuck, I felt like this was going to be a kind of loaded question, and I got a loaded fucking answer. But let's translate into it pretty quickly. I think that FFA allows me to keep one style in my gameplay. Every good player has different play style in whether it's ranked or scrims. That's why you see really shitty players with 4.5 and 4.6 peaks that suck dick in a scrim environment. His words, not mine, but I also very much agree with him. I apologize. The greatest players can switch their playstyle from ranked to scrims at the snap of their fingers. I did do that just off impulse. I don't know why I did that, actually, but that's something that I've never needed to practice because I only have one playstyle, and that's my scrim playstyle. This helps me VOD because I never need to think about how I'm supposed to translate something into ranked. I just think about how I can translate it into other scrims, which is again, amazing point. I agree with literally everything here. I think this is a completely healthy alternative that a lot of people need to start taking account to. And I know it doesn't work for like every role, every player. It's not made for everyone, but neither is the ranked ladder. So this also shows that maybe if maybe ranked isn't for you. Let me back up a bit. Maybe ranked isn't for you. Maybe FFA isn't for you. That's fine. Find what is. Like, for some people, quick play could just be enough. I know a whole bunch of people that are constantly participating in open division, getting top 16 in open division, that literally just get up and play quick play, just because that's their way of playing the game without stakes, without having to really worry about anything, but they still get that kind of competitive spirit. And I thought it would only be right to really end this off with saying, do you regret putting more time into FFA than ranked? And this was a very quick answer that I can honestly say that I predicted pretty easily. His response was, I don't regret putting time into FFA at all. FFA has helped me create my identity as a player, and that I'm known as the person who has a really great Tracer 1v1. And that's, I think, my bigger takeaway, that I'm gonna kind of use the transition into tying this whole thing together, that you can't expect to get super omega widely popular just off playing only FFA. Like, because in my eyes, at least, that's the equivalent of like being a Call of Duty player and just like tryharding in I don't know how, I guess, relevant this is, but there's like streakers in Call of Duty, and I'm sorry to go off on a little side tangent, but it's basically people that try to stay alive, get the highest score streaks, and they upload videos about them. That's like people that are constantly trying to do that and play that kind of style, and like are constantly only playing like against casual players and thinking that they're gonna get picked up to Overwatch League instantaneously. Like, you have to, like, there has to be effort on your part, and that's where also the multitude of hours comes in, where it's very much a lot, and I can understand that. But another really big takeaway that I want people to take away from this, and this is gonna be something less for the casual people but more for just people in general, that Rokit went from teams called, and I'm sorry if this throws you astray, but went from Havoc to Cryx to Six Guns to ATK mode, which is now Drifters. And I bring that up because him getting on the Havoc was, I think, just based off tryouts, and that was based off normal ranked, which is like, you know, being a decently high ranked, and then just bringing the all the skills brought in from FFA to kind of up the ante in that sense. And when it gets translated then to Cryx, which is a kind of a team that was really on the up and up at that point, which again, to casual people this means nothing, but this is all tier 3 talk. And so Cryx was a pretty good team coming up at the time, and then it kind of crumbled and kind of fell apart. And the only reason that Rokit was able to get onto Six Guns, which is a completely separate team from Cryx, they didn't really intertwine too much. But if I remember correctly, Rokit only got onto Six Guns, which is a completely different team, as I stated, because of vouches, and because people are like, dude, I know his peak isn't that good, but you have to trust me. And when people did, you know, that's why he's the very first 4.3 player to make trials, which to most people, they're still like, man, like, I haven't even hit GM yet. I don't know, like, how I'm supposed to still, like, have aspirations if I can't even, like, hit GM or whatever. But, like, this is where I will tie it into my other video about how to, like, still have fun playing the game. You can take a step back, grind FFA, like, work on your duels, and figure out, like, how every, like, minuscule duel works. Because any time that, and so many people can vouch for this, if you play against Rokit in a fucking tryhard FFA lobby, Rokit is going to win because of how much time he's put into it. And if you start to hold yourself to a higher standard, kind of have to drop your ego and make sure that you're actually, like, your gameplay is hitting where your standards are and where you want your standards to be. If not, raises them even a bit. And I think, like, overall, there's, like, and I didn't even, like, really translate how Rokit got from Six Guns, which is a completely separate team and, like, in a completely separate realm from ATK mode, which was at the time a very highly respected team. And Six Guns was more of a, you know, they're enjoyable to watch, but not, you know, the best team that you're gonna find in a, like, in a tournament bracket or whatever. But when you, like, narrow it down, Rokit got onto ATK mode because people started noticing him in scrims, which stemmed from him trying his ass off in FFA. So this all kind of comes full circle, and none of this would have happened to him if he didn't start playing FFA, which is why I think this is something that needs to be glorified. And I don't think that only players need to take note of this. I want staff members to start taking note of this, because this is a big step. Even though this is just one kid who spent way too much time in tryhard FFA as opposed to ranked, this is an outlier, which can finally fucking tell people that ranked isn't everything. So stop fucking acting like it and drop all of your fucking egos and start taking players at face value instead of whatever you, like, want to see in terms of, like, how it's gonna look to other people. In terms of, if you're like, dude, this is a really, like, mechanically gifted, like, you know, 4.2 player. But holy shit, imagine the backlash we would get if we're like a trials level team or a contenders level team that's picking up a 4.2 player. That we'd be a fucking laughing stock. But realistically, do you care about that or do you care about winning? And that's where I think a lot of people get confused and a lot of people get fucked up. And that's why there's so many teams that try to buy their way into contenders and buy their way into trials. Only a little bit of shade. I'm really not trying to throw too much shade, but holy fuck, Ardor did it a lot. And after buying their like spot to basically cheat the system, they then just get people who like, man, these guys have all like been top 10 players in the ranked ladder. I don't know how we keep losing. And it's like, you're losing because you're not caring about the players, you care about the numbers, which numbers can only take you so far, especially when there's genuine skill involved. And that's where it really needs to click with people. And this isn't just for my sake, because I am like in this category that Rokit is and would be in if he were ever to go like looking for a team, because I'm in the same boat of my peak is fairly low, but where I play at is pretty up there. And I don't think that people are really able to get over the peak thing. But as soon as you play against someone like that, you really can start to get a kind of a look for them in a different light, which I really think is cool. And I really want to, again, kind of shine as much light on, because this is a much bigger deal than a lot of people are going to make of it, because a lot of people have on Twitter and whatever the fuck just been saying like, holy fuck, a 4.3 player made trials, lol. And it's like, cool, that's nice, but where do we go from here? Do we actually advance the fucking entire like competitive scene and be like, okay, this shows that, you know, maybe we can lower our standards a bit and realize that not fucking everyone is 4.5. Stop advertising it, because now you're, oh my god, I had to make an entire video about this shit, man. I'm so upset, dude. But as soon as those egos get put away, all you're gonna be left with is like genuine people that genuinely want to play the game and do genuinely want to get better. But if you keep your ego too high, you're gonna have a tough time. And I really hope that people can start getting over that, but at the end of the day, other people can do what they want to do. And with that being said, I appreciate the fuck out of you for watching this video. As per usual, if you want to know whenever I upload, follow me on Twitter, as well as follow Rokit on Twitter at RokitOW. And with that being said, I think that's gonna do it. I have a couple more reviews in the lineups moving on, but other than that, I mean, I love you guys, and I will see you when I see you. Later.